Welcome back, Kerbalants. Today we're going to tackle Minmus, which is the other moon in Kerbal, for Kerbin. So this is basically the same spacecraft that we took to get to the moon, although I meant to set this up. We're going to do this just a little teensy bit different. We're going to fire this the same way that the Falcon Heavy was, just to switch things up a little bit. And then the center one fires. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and fire. Whoops. So the reason why Falcon Heavy did that stage system like that was because it started with the outer engines lit first, and then the center one, and then finally it let go. It took about 5 seconds from the moment of the first ignition until it actually took off. Part of the reason why they do that is the rocket engine actually needs a little bit of time to spin up. It won't produce the full thrust from the very beginning. So you actually need to adjust it a little bit. Sorry, more flying, less talking for a moment. I have newfound respect for the people who do this all the time. Okay. Now we're going full gear. Good. Okay. So like I was saying, the outer engines fired first, then the inner engines, because they needed to give a little bit of time to get it up to speed so it didn't vibrate itself apart. That was actually a real concern, and so they found that the way to do that in the simulations was to have it be staggered a little bit, although they weren't really positive everything was going to work until it launch day. Elon Musk said that he thought there was a 50% chance that it would, not work. I gave it a little bit better odds than that, but I was giving it about 80% odds that it would work. So it worked, and it was absolutely spectacular. I've watched the video on that more times than I care to admit. The one that they just released. It's a good little video. I'll link to it in the description if I can remember to do so. Okay, so anyways, today we're going to Minmus, and Minmus is an interesting moon. Couple of little oddities. First of all, it is not ecliptical, or elliptic. It has a non-zero inclination, so we're going to have to do some adjusting for that. We had a little bit last time, but that was because we had a less than perfect orbit that we entered. This time we're going to have some serious issues to contend with. See how's our... Oh yeah, we need to keep firing. We're doing pretty good, but... let's level it out a little bit more. We're above most of the atmosphere. This is where if you had a shroud, it would typically come off. Okay, so Minmus has an inclination we have to adjust for. Other than that, it's a lot easier to get to than Moon. It's a little bit further out, but the difference doesn't make such a huge deal when you're so far out already. The difference is only a couple hundred meters per second, but Minmus is way easier to land on, and even if we did tip over, not like we would ever do that, Jebediah, then should be pretty easy to correct for. But I don't think that's going to happen. Valentina's a pro. She's going to nail this, I'm sure. Poor Jebediah gets thrown under the bus. He had it coming. He had it coming. Let's go ahead. Keep going. We'll lock on prograde. And we should be able to make it in to orbit. Almost there. Come on, a little bit more. We're gonna have to do a little bit of adjustment. Pretty late on the system, but that's okay. This is what I get for not firing at the Oasis. It's my own fault. It's less efficient and it also tends to create some oddities sometimes. Okay, we're in orbit now. Now, Minmus. Set as target. Okay, I'm gonna show you here. Let's see if we can. Mon is actually 0 inclination. Minmus is more like our Earth's moon in terms of its inclination. It has a slight inclination about the orbital path. So let's see here. What are we gonna do? So we need to fire. Let's try to fire at the ascending node. I doubt this will work, but it's worth a shot. If you can fire at the ascending node, then you'll have fewer issues. Yeah, it's a little too early. That's okay. If you fire at the ascending and descending nodes, then the opposite node, ascending or descending, will be right at the orbit of the moon that you're trying to, or the target you're trying to get to, and so it'll actually help out quite a bit. But as you can see, with our current path, we're going to be way over. So we're going to shoot for something close, but not quite. Let's go right about here. Descending nodes on the wrong side to make this work. This might not have been the best idea to be flying now. To Minmus. Ah, well. We have the pro Valentina. She'll figure it out. See, right now we're firing at the ascending node, and you can see the descending node is at the far point, which would be perfect if we could get an encounter, but it's totally the wrong time of the orbit to get an encounter. Okay, so we're just going to go for the encounter, and we'll do this the hard way. It also has a slight eccentricity, Minmus, although it's a little bit hard to see. Its altitude will vary. It's a much more interesting target to get to, and it's much easier to land on. Many people recommend that you first try to land on Minmus before you try to land on Moon. Mon, however you want to pronounce it. I don't know if there's an official way to pronounce it. Oh, there's poor Madzer. We really gotta rescue you. think the next time we do one of these missions, we'll take capacity for extra Kerbals, and we'll pick up Mudzer on the way. We're burning a little bit late. That's okay. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. So I'm just going to keep firing until we get to something kind of close to the orbit, but it's not going to be perfect. We're going to have to do a correction burn. You see stuff like this, like Falcon does when it's doing a geosynchronous transfer orbit. It will actually do a 2-burn system, and part of the reason why it does the second burn is to help with the inclination a little bit. It can't get into a 0 inclination when it launches the way that it typically does. So in order to do the 0 inclination, you have to have a second burn. It's not the only reason why they do it, but it is a reason. Okay, that'll do. Oh wait. Haha. Wrong object. Okay, that will do. You can see we're going to have to do some adjusting. I think we're actually going to have to do a 3-burn system, unfortunately. Let's try down. Oh, maybe not. Good. That worked better than I thought it would. And there we go. A little bit more. Oh, how close am I going to get? Yeah, this is a less than optimal burn, but it's not hideous. Let's do the focus on Minmus trick. I wish I could just lock this. Aha! Let's try this. Hang on. Right there. And then a little bit up. A little bit more forward. Sometimes it's easier to separate out the moves, although it's always more efficient to combine them into a single maneuver. If any of you have ever done vector math, then that's why. The vectors, they combine together to have a smaller magnitude than you would the individual components. And for those who that's too much math, I'm sorry. Okay. That will get us pretty close, and we'll do another adjustment burn at some point in time. Okay. Good. Good. And let's lock on there. And let's up a little bit. Actually, let's do some... we're too high up. We've already gone far beyond the point where we can do any useful science of... Okay. It'll be fine. We'll just warp to the next maneuver. 3-second burn, wow. We're going to take more than 3 seconds to do the burn, though. Because it'll be more precise, and precision is absolutely vital, as you might have seen. So, what I was saying about the vectors, there's 3 directions that you have on here. You have the normal, anti-normal, which is the direction, kind of the up direction and down direction. You have the prograde, which is the direction you're moving, you're forward, and retrogrades, they're back. And then you have a normal direction, which is up and down, I guess, or not normal, what's it called? It'll come back to me. But you have these 3 directions in space that you can maneuver to, and you have to kind of add them up so that the sorry, I'm not making any sense. Let me try this again when I'm not trying to do a precision maneuver. Whew. See how little we missed that by. And yet it had such a far effect. We're just gonna burn just a teensy bit. That is spot on. How close are we getting? Yeah, it's still a little further than I really want to be. We'll do a burnout here. So we're actually going to go a little bit past. Why does it say we're missing? No, it doesn't. I'm going crazy. Sorry. Sorry about that, folks. Just a teensy tiny bit. Let's get that nice low orbit that we want. Good. Go do our moon tour again. I gotta figure out the... that's not hideous. Okay. Yeah, maybe I should have changed the name of the lander, but who cares? It's the maneuver. It's the moon lander design. It'll work fine. So we're going out into really quite a ways out there. Now, a typical mission to Minmus, it's in a lot of ways pretty similar to the moon, the Earth moon. Okay, one thing I want you to notice how slow we're moving compared to the planet. That's because of the elliptical orbit. I mean, we're only moving 50 meters per second. You know, just a tiny burn and we could be out here for forever. Maybe I'll show a maneuver node for that. posigrade and I always forget the name of all the different nodes. Posigrade and it's normal and anti-normal. Normal is straight down. Anti-normal is straight up. That's the difference. So the no, normal is rocket science. Oi. You know what? Forget it. We're close enough. See? We'll be fine. Okay. So I'm gonna keep playing forward the time here. Notice that we're not moving very much at all, but Minmus is actually kind of moving fairly fast compared to us. And so it's going to catch up with us, and it's going to meet us here. Notice that after our orbit would become a lot more inclined if we were not to do a correction maneuver, and that's because we're passing over the poles. That's why a lot of missions to asteroids will pass over the poles of the Earth, like, oh, what's the mission that did that not too long ago? Dawn or something like that. Juno. But that was a different thing. Missions like to pass over the poles is the bottom point to change their inclination. So we're going to slow down. Kind of fun to see the twisting shape, and then there we are, almost perfectly even. Now, since we're in such a polar orbit, I think we'll go ahead and land on the poles. Let's go ahead and log the temperature, the pressure. This is not the pressure that Valentina's on. Look at her, she's not in any pressure at all. She's just fine. Okay. Do an EVA. Take the data. Oh, I forgot to take the temperature, and we're also going to have to do this for when we're further out. Get another EVA report. And it turns out it doesn't matter, because we're over the same biome. It's too close to the same and it just doesn't count. Nope. We'll just warp a few minutes into the future. See if we get some different areas. Midlands, there we go. Now the temperature and the pressure sensors, they only matter, you can only get those once for your altitude. Although if you're on the ground, you can also take them. But for the Kerbals, doing EVAs over different biomes will get them different science. Not super realistic, but yeah, it doesn't matter. It's a good way to get some science. Got the slopes. Another reason that you can kind of see this area here, Minmus is a favorite of a lot of people because it's so flat in certain areas. These areas are the flattest places in the Kerbal system, really, with the possible exception of the North Pole of Kerbin is also pretty flat. But it's just these large areas, you can actually land a wheeled vehicle horizontally and brake. You have enough space, and I've even seen some crazy maneuvers like a person who had an orbit that went over the flats all the time just a few meters above the surface. It's all kinds of fun stuff you can do. Okay, so let's zip on out here. We're gonna do the same thing that we did before, although first of all, let's do our science. Pressure, temperature, and crew report. And you only get one EVA for this far out. See that it says high in space, so you only get to count it once. That's perfectly alright. Okay. So let's go ahead. We're just going to do the tiniest of burns. We're going to see if we can do this right this time. With the moon landing, we slightly messed up. We weren't as efficient as we could have been, which is fine. Okay, that is perfect. Now we're going to warp to here. This time we're on the right side of the orbit, actually. Whoa. Alright, let's start our landing burn. Yeah, we're almost perfectly. Oh, we still have plenty of fuel. We're gonna have to ditch the mostly full fuel tank. It's retrograde. Yeah, let's ditch this now. And no. We're gonna try to save it. We'll have a little bit of extra fuel. We'll maybe go visit a couple of spots on Minmus because we can. Oh, there's our shadow. We're actually gonna land pretty high. Huh, interesting. We're going slow enough though where we can basically stop at a moment's notice. Getting close. One thing that's always important is to be using the right speed. You want to have your speed set to surface and not orbital, because it will make a difference when you're trying to land. Ah! Come on, keep it steady. Keep it steady. Let's turn off. There we go. We even have some extra fuel if we need anything, which we won't. Alright, let's EVA. Let's capture the EVA report, pick up the science that we forgot to pick up from the pressure and the temperature sensors, and pick up our crew report too. We'll just go ahead and board. Okay. Fuel tank with some fuel in it, knocking our landing legs. What could possibly go wrong? Alright. Blump. So we can't take samples yet because we haven't upgraded the science facility. I probably should have done that, but it's a very, very expensive upgrade. She's not perfectly professional while she's on the surface. Okay, look at how high you can jump. Of course, you can also turn on your spacesuit. They did not have this kind of spacesuit with thrust when they landed on the moon, but it was a little bit better designed. So if we could take a surface sample, we would know that Minmus is apparently made of ice cream. Of course, that's completely and totally ridiculous, but it's also pretty cool. Pretty cool thought. Ice cream's a rather complex thing. The reality is a lot of... This is kind of like a comet, and comets are largely made out of ice. So there's a teensy bit of truth to that, but not a whole lot. So where are we at? Let's take a trip to the south. Do a hop. We have tons of fuel. Okay. Is that going to be far enough? No, we need to do a little bit more if we're going to get into a different biome. That'll do. These things change way faster than is realistic. Way faster. But that's okay. That's part of the charm. Oh, whoops. I forgot to take my temperature scans. It's actually kind of realistic that when you leave the space capsule, you cause it to turn a little bit. Kind of interesting little thought. I don't think I did a crew report, but that's okay. Relatively minor science we missed. How are we doing? We really need to go a little bit further. We're getting pretty close to the surface, aren't we? It's okay, once we cross this little mountain ridge, then we'll be fine. They actually, the lunar astronauts, when they landed, they did do something that wasn't that dissimilar from this. They were not, they were flying very low over the surface of the moon. Only, I think, like 10 kilometers at the lowest point. The standard orbit where the command capsule waited was, I think, something like 50-60 kilometers up, which is much, much closer than you have on Earth, but it's still pretty low. Just in case, do a quick save. We're not going to let Valentina have an unfortunate incident again. But she's pretty confident. I'll tell you what, we're going to go ahead and we're going to stop here. We're over the poles now, so that's why we're doing this change. And check where we are in surface mode again. Good. So what I'm trying to do is to make it so that we're basically going straight down. So you can kind of push this marker, which is your retrograde, the direction of movement. I'm trying to push it so it's right on that top dot, which is good. And I cannot tell how close we are to the surface at all. Touchdown. There we go. No, 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 no. There we go. See, Valentina's got it under control. This is a much, much more difficult place to land because this is on the poles and we're landing at dark. So, yeah, in reality you would have some kind of a radar, and what a lot of people like to do is to put lights facing down. And I might do that for the future, actually. It's a little bit crazy here. It's not the kind of landing that I like. But it seems like Valentina's plenty happy, and, you know, that's what really counts. So we'll take our sensor readings. Go ahead and get down on the surface. Kerbal's heads are amazingly resilient. Valentina's excited. Okay, so let's go ahead. Get a flying observation. I think we have lights, don't we? Yeah, there we go. I think this is plenty for one mission. Valentina's happy. Whoops. And we're on the wrong side. Get back in there. Come on, Valentina. I know you're having fun. You almost knocked over your spacecraft there. Gotta be a little bit more careful, or else we'll still start calling you Jebediah. Okay. Well, that looks good. Let's go ahead and head home, shall we? Let's see. We're nice and low. Whoops. Oh. That was a little bit too much of a burn. We have enough fuel still? Yeah, we have enough fuel. Okay, so let's hit orbit as opposed to escape velocity. Nah, we'll go ahead and do this. It'll be fine. We're taking the really long way home. Good thing we packed extra snacks. Oops, it still has us focusing on the moon. That's what's confusing me. That'll be plenty fine. Okay, so let's just go ahead and warp to here. Notice how slow we're moving, only just, there again, just a few meters per second. Meters per second. Wow, this is a 2-month mission. Should have been about 20 days. Poor Valentina will be very ready to get home. And home she shall be soon. Anyways, pretty confident this landing will be just fine, so we've already done this. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the video here. If you like this, let me know. If you want me to do some particular topic, leave a note in the comments. I'll see what I can do. Thank you very much for joining me, and thanks for all you guys do. You guys are amazing. I love the people who are coming out to these videos. You guys rock. We'll see.